Hello, welcome back. Welcome to the Confidence and Beauty Summit, real root cause resolutions that reverse women's hair loss naturally. I am your host, Saril Vasquez, a multi-certified functional medicine practitioner that is obsessed with reversing hair loss naturally. And as the CEO and founder of Belcanics.com, we bring you this summit to share our vision of a world where hopeless hair loss is a thing of the past, and every woman has the opportunity to break through her limiting beliefs while embodying a new truth that will set her free. And that truth is hair loss is reversible. And so today I am welcoming Dr. Farah Sultan. I'm so excited to have her here today. She is a medical doctor, board certified in family medicine and functional and regenerative medicine. She has trained and worked in 3 continents, which are India, the UK, and USA. She is the founder of Vitalogy Wellness and MedSpa and the creator of the Mandala Method. She is an international award-winning speaker and an expert in sleep and hormone balance, and has helped thousands of women regain their health, energy, and youthfulness without the use of addictive prescription medication. How valuable is that? She lives with her husband and 3 children in Birmingham, Alabama, and she loves to travel, read, garden, cook, and biohack her health and fitness. And you can see that because there's a gorgeous woman standing here or sitting here in front of me today, Dr. Farah Sultan. Welcome.
Thank you, Saril, for that warm welcome. I'm super excited to be here because, like you, I am so passionate about helping women, and hair is all visible to us. And that is something very near and dear to all our hearts. So thank you for making this summit happen.
My pleasure. I feel like it's the right timing for this message. And one of the reasons I had you on is because you also had experienced some hair loss and thinning and were able to make it through that traumatizing situation. And so if you can talk to us a little bit about how you landed in functional medicine and what were some of your health issues or your struggle that makes this topic so close to your heart. That would be great.
Absolutely. And so, it all starts with a story, a journey, and that was the same case with me. I was a regular traditional family physician when I went through an emergency C-section, and it changed my life because something happened. It was the anesthesia, the antibiotics, the stress. And so what I noticed was after I had my baby, which was traumatic because he was in the neonatal intensive care unit, IV sticking all over him. And then I bring home this bundle of joy only to find that my body was failing me. There was something just not right. And literally, my hair was falling off in clumps. I had massive headaches. I had brain fog. I had fatigue. I was crying with the postpartum blues instead of rejoicing in the moment. And I had all these gut issues. And I just didn't know what was wrong. Even as a doctor, I couldn't figure out what was going on. And I was gaining weight. I had no libido. And so my husband was worried what was wrong. And so I went to my doctor and my OBGYN at the time, and she just blew me off. She just said, "Oh, there's nothing wrong. This is motherhood. This is just welcome to real life." And I was like, "What?" Yeah. And I was like, "No, that isn't right. I know something is wrong." And I knew nothing about functional medicine at the time because they don't teach you anything about any nutrition in med school. It's 1 hour of lectures and that's it. And so it was through this journey because I wanted to find out an answer again, because I wanted to have good hair and good skin and lose weight, as do all women. And so I found functional medicine in a conference, and it was like an eye opener, like a light went off. And I really wanted to dive deep to the extent that I got really to deep dive and got trained in it. And it literally changed my life because I found that I had Hashimoto's. My own immune system was attacking my own thyroid gland. I had IBS issues, absorption issues, hormone issues. So it kind of all made sense. And I was able to get all the education and knowledge and mentoring and testing to put it together and really turn things around. And that's how I got so passionate about helping women with functional medicine. This approach just works.
Yes, what I found most insightful about what you said was the fact that your hair loss and thinning was not just a product of normal hormone changes from birth, but it was actually the anesthesia and the trauma around the C-section that
Mhm.
also exacerbated your issue. And so, do you believe that that was a trigger point for your Hashimoto's and your hair loss?
Absolutely. And actually, now that, and I can proudly say I no longer have Hashimoto's, my antibody levels are negative, yay. But now I see so many women who have similar, if not the same story, that they underwent either a procedure or antibiotics or birth control pills or major trauma that was kind of a trigger that culminated in, say, autoimmune issues, hormone issues, gut issues, which the symptom was hair loss, luckily. So that's the good part, right? The symptom is the hair loss. Let's uncover what is the root cause. And when you uncover the root cause, then the hair loss is going to improve.
Right. And so the summit title is Real Root Cause Resolutions. And it has that in there for women with hair loss and thinning. And so, besides something like Hashimoto's and uh, other things that happened in your specific case, what do you think are more of those deeply rooted issues? Like, what's triggering the Hashimoto's, and what's the real root cause issue that is putting a woman in a position to express chronic hair shedding?
That's such a great question. And there are a few reasons I have kind of honed into to really get to the root causes of hair loss. So, number one, definitely Hashimoto's itself is a state of inflammation, but also any woman will only get any autoimmune condition like Hashimoto's if she has something like a leaky gut or gut permeability. Without that, even with genes and things, it wouldn't happen. So that's something that's fixable. Secondly, Hashimoto's can impact hormones, especially your thyroid hormone, maybe not in the early stages, but the longer you've had something like Hashimoto's, the more likelihood that your hormone levels are like basically your thyroid gland is getting burnt out. And so your thyroid levels go lower and lower. And can that cause hair loss and dry skin? Absolutely. Thirdly, many women who have leaky gut also have lack of stomach acid. And that is something we can test for and also treat. Why? Because what is hair made up of? It is made up of really organs made of keratin and protein, and the hair follicles needs a lot of nourishment. And what if you're eating healthy, you're exercising, but you are not even absorbing the good foods you're putting into your body? Then you're not going to be able to grow new hair and prevent hair loss or improve the quality of hair that you have. So really, in order to nourish the hair follicle, it all begins with the gut. And that's why it is important to not only not have a leaky gut, which can be fixed, but also have enough of the juices, including stomach acid, to help break down protein into amino acids, which can be used as raw material to build new hair cells. Because each hair cell has its own cycle in the different phases, which I'm sure you've talked about in more depth. And so we can catch it at each of those phases so we can prevent further hair loss and also start growing new baby hair. You can literally see a transformation within 12 weeks because you're nourishing the hair follicle. And then, of course, there are other specific things that can cause hair loss. For example, what I found was food sensitivities. So a lot of toxic products will have toxicants in them, which instead of promoting hair growth, which you think they would, they actually work against you because there are either chemicals and toxins in them that are working against you, or sometimes they may be good ingredients, but not the right ones for you. So as an example, I found that I had a huge sensitivity to gluten when I was diagnosed with Hashimoto's. And as you know, many hair care products have gluten in them. And so
Wow.
I avoid products and read the labels to avoid gluten, but also other toxicants. And that can also be transformational in having healthy hair.
Wow, there was so much to unpack there. I just want to make sure I don't forget anything about that. It was amazing. So, two things. Number one, as far as the different hair stages, it's okay if it's okay, can you talk a little bit about those stages and how having sufficient stomach acid, which would lead to sufficient protein, which would lead to sufficient keratin, be impacted by that, and where that fits into that process and how important that is. And secondly, if you could also talk about gluten in products and how someone can find that, because I'm assuming that the label's not going to say gluten on it, right?
Yes.
So if you can elaborate about those two things, that would be great.
Okay, yeah. So, stomach acid, first of all, why would a woman have low stomach acid? So, with stress and including exercise, because, when you're trying to get healthy, you're exercising. So, exercise is a stressor to the body, but it's a good stressor. So, any stressor, good or bad, will diminish stomach acid production. That's natural. As we age and go through perimenopause and menopause, it's natural to have less and less production of your own stomach acid. And if you eat a lot of processed foods, GMO foods, they can also impact it. And other huge cause is medications. So a lot of people say with heartburn, they are taking drugs like Nexium and Protonix, and they are actually suppressing all stomach acid, which will help your symptom, but it will definitely cause hair loss because you are making zero stomach acid. And that is something I love to let you know, an easy, simple way at home that you can test for using a little baking soda or raw beetroots and looking at the color of your urine or stool. It shouldn't be pink. And so those are, if you fail the burping as soon as you take the baking soda and water, or if you see color in which is pink, that means you're not making enough stomach acid to basically neutralize the colors in the foods like beets, or it's a simple 10th grade experiment. When stomach acid reacts with baking soda, you should produce carbon dioxide, which makes you burp. So lack of burping means you failed the test and you've not made enough stomach acid. So you can use foods to stimulate it. You can use supplements to stimulate it, but that is going to really help gut symptoms like gas, bloating, constipation. It will help heartburn, so all the GI symptoms, but it'll also help basically break down your protein into amino acids. And then the amino acids act as the building block, the raw material to build new protein, including keratin, which is a protein, and collagen, which is good for your skin, and new hair cells. So really, it's very simple. You need protein, and a lot of us again are eating protein to build muscle and exercising and doing all those good things. But a lot of times I see that despite doing all these healthy things like exercising and eating more protein in your diet, if you're still experiencing hair loss, then you need to replace or at least test for your stomach acid. And then what will happen is give your hair some time, because each hair cycle that you wanted me to talk about is 6 weeks long. So first it's called the telogen phase, which is really the growth phase of the hair. And then there is a growth phase, and then there's a shedding phase. And so we want to catch the hair follicles in the growth phase and then give it at least 6 to 12 weeks. And you will absolutely notice the change where you're not seeing the shower kind of have all the hair in the drain, or when you brush your hair, and you'll notice the baby hair start growing. So that is so encouraging and so heartening to see those changes. And
Yeah.
then, of course, you asked me the second part of the question, and remind me, what was the second part of the question?
I actually think you covered it, because one was about the protein and protein synthesis in hair and how important stomach acid is to that process, and then the other one was the different hair phases. I
Yes.
was asking you to touch on, and you just kind of mix them together, which is perfect. But going back to the stomach acid situation, you had just very generously explain to our listeners a simple test that you can do at home. And I don't want to gloss over that, because I want to make sure that people take that valuable intel away with them. And so just to get it straight, you said take a tablespoon of baking soda, drink it in water. If you drink it and you do not burp immediately, then you have low stomach acid. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And then secondly, you said if you put stomach acid in your stomach by drinking it with water, and then you mix beet juice, and
Oh, yeah. So it can be a salad with raw beets. It could
okay,
be, just don't use the pickled beets.
got you. Okay, so
Mhm.
raw beets or no beet
Or
juice?
beet juice is fine too, as
Okay,
long as it's fresh, like freshly squeezed. So yeah, any beet with the pink color, it will, if you consume it, and then if you notice whether it's the next day or whenever, you should not have pink coloration of your bowels.
oh, I see. And so no baking soda required for that part.
No
Just
baking soda
eat,
required.
eat beets, and you certainly, if you do see redness later when you poop,
Yes.
then you might want to take note of the time, because then you know your transit time as far as
Yes,
how long it takes for you to get rid of something when you put it in one end and it comes back on the other end. But
absolutely.
as far as your stomach acid, you shouldn't even see red. And if you do,
Mhm.
then that's proof that you do not have sufficient stomach acid, which you said is very common because of the proton pump inhibitors and our lifestyle and our food and stress and all these things. So listeners, I hope everybody goes and does that test. And then you mentioned that there was a simple fix and there was a supplement. So which supplement do you use to fix that problem?
So I love a supplement that I carry called the Vital Bile. And let me explain why that name. Because you need stomach acid, which is called the betaine HCl, that's one of the ingredients. It has digestive enzymes, which are needed to help digest foods, especially since a lot of us have food sensitivities and intolerances. And it has bile, ox bile. So why that? Because many women have lost their gallbladder for whatever reason, but the gallbladder plays a huge role in maintaining a good hormone balance, especially your hormones such as estrogen. And so what happens is we need the stomach acid, we need digestive juices, and we need bile from gallbladder. So all of these are combined in this supplement, and I find it super useful for people who are experiencing hair loss, but also with any GI symptoms, because it works so well for gas, bloating, heartburn, constipation, all of those symptoms when you take it just before a meal. But I have a protocol for that I'll be happy to share with you if you like. And because it really, everyone's different and how much they need, and how do you know how much to take?
Yes, I'm familiar with that. And so we are going to offer that to our VIPs. We will definitely provide a resource for you all of specific vetted medical grade proven and tested products that we know work, because what you source matters. And sometimes people do try to get results with their hair growth, and they're failing and failing, and they're wasting so much money, and they feel like maybe there's no hope for them. But it's not the case. It's mostly the fact that they're spending their energy in the wrong protocols with the wrong supplements. I know when I was trying to get healthier and reverse my hair loss, I was going to Amazon and typing Candida overgrowth because I thought that was my problem. My tongue was white. And I would get 3 supplements at a time and I'm taking them and my hair would get worse. And of course, I got a Hersheimer reaction from all of these things I was taking, but I had no idea that that was even a
Mhm.
possibility. And so without the proper guidance from someone like Dr. Farah Sultan, who's gotten results for herself, and she has a proven supplement line that she can vouch for that has gotten results for her clients, you can run into the situation where you end up wasting your efforts and hopefully not spending money on wigs because you don't get there. So that's, something that is unfortunately a real
Mhm.
possibility. So thank you so much for sharing that test with us. And like I said, I'm definitely going to share with people who upgrade to VIP that whole protocol to increase your stomach acid, which is important not just for hair regrowth, but
Mhm.
we are what we eat and we can absorb. And so if we don't have enough
Exactly.
stomach acid, there's just so many different things that materialize as a chronic health issue.
Mhm.
You're not getting the nutrients that you need to carry out vital processes like detoxification and other things that are so incredibly necessary for us.
Yes, absolutely. Your liver, your gut, your microbiome, and the candida like SIBO, SIFO, they all play such a big role in hair loss, as you know.
Yes. And I know that your practice is revolved around the endocrinology and the thyroid
Hormone balancing, yes.
hormone balancing. Would you say that there is a vast majority of women that have the symptoms you just mentioned coupled with hair loss? And if that is the case, that they correlate so often,
Oh, yes.
why would you say that's the case on a biological level as far as the function of the body? Why would you happen to see hormones and hair loss and all these
Mhm.
different things come at the scene at the same time?
Yes, and that is so true because hormones play a huge role when it comes to hair loss. So, we talked earlier about Hashimoto's and thyroid, but as you know, a lot of women suffer with PCOS, right? And so, in PCOS, due to
What is
insulin, that
PCOS?
is, yes, polycystic ovarian
Okay,
syndrome. And
great.
so it's a condition characterized by sometimes too much androgenic hormones being produced in women, which can result in oily skin, acne, facial hair, but at the same time, hair loss, sometimes to the point of almost like a male pattern of balding and irregular cycles, difficulty getting pregnant. And some women with polycystic ovarian syndrome may be overweight, but not all of them. They can be really normal or even skinny and still have these issues with their hormones. And that's why measuring the hormones is important. And really, the root cause of this is insulin resistance. And
Mhm.
that's why we look at all the hormones, not just your thyroid, not just your sex hormones, but cortisol, adrenals, insulin, vitamin D, and nutrients like vitamin D is a hormone vitamin. So we look at the full picture because all these can play a direct role in terms of hair loss. And so, but other autoimmune conditions such as lupus or alopecia, those can be associated with hair loss as well. But all autoimmune conditions are basically an inflammatory condition, and women get it 60% more than men. And that's why women's hormones, autoimmunity, gut health, and hair health is very intertwined. It's not disconnected.
Mhm. Yeah, that's amazing that you have such a clear picture as to why this is so rampant and what
Mhm.
is really needed is blood sugar regulation and hormonal harmony. And once you have the set stage with all of that, then you can put the body in a place where it can heal itself and we can start seeing a cluster of symptoms dissipate.
Absolutely.
So, is there a point in clinical practice for someone that has thyroid issues where they have to be on medication, or do you feel like there is a possibility for everyone to be able to get off of it, or for someone to, only be on it for a temporary period? And what are your thoughts around that?
So again, everyone's different, but for a woman, unfortunately, who's had her thyroid entirely removed, she would need to be on thyroid replacement. Or if it was due to a pituitary issue, then yes, she would need to be on thyroid hormone replacement literally for the rest of her life because her body cannot make its own. But in many other cases, it really depends when you catch it. So even Hashimoto's, if the earlier you catch it, what is that number in the antibody? So we do tests for Hashimoto's. That's how we know that someone has Hashimoto's. They have a high level of antibodies to their thyroid in their blood. That number, which is measured in the blood, is the exact number of cells that have been tagged within the gland, within the thyroid gland, to be attacked by your own immune system. So the higher that number, the more the damage. And over time, the longer the time period from diagnosis, the higher the likelihood of the cell burnout and the more the need for hormones. So in the early stages, it is entirely reversible without the need for thyroid replacement. But that's why it really depends on what is the ability of your own thyroid to produce its own levels of thyroid hormone. And as long as that is there, you do not need to be on hormone replacement for the rest of your life.
Well, that's good news for a lot of people that are listening, I'm sure.
Yes. However, I would add that yes, with menopause, our levels of thyroid do gradually decline. And so, again, that's why it's so key to measure those levels. And can certain things with nutrition and gut and liver support also help support your thyroid? 100%.
Which was exactly my next question, as far as the foods that are essential for managing Hashimoto's or thyroid health or even menopause. I know that you prefaced the conversation by emphasizing protein,
Mm-hmm.
but I was just curious what some of the other foods could be. And speaking to protein, I did want to say there might be someone who listened to that and said, "Oh, but I'm drinking a protein shake. I have pea protein or I have a whey shake. And so I know I'm getting my protein because it's in a powder form. So my body must be able to digest it." And so to that person, I'm glad that you did mention that the body breaks down the protein into an amino acid. And so even though you are ingesting it as a powder, if you don't have enough stomach acid, you still can be deficient in protein because of the process of synthesis where the body breaks it down from protein to a peptide and then to an amino acid. And so that's something that I think needed to be mentioned in case anybody thought to themselves, well, maybe that's not the case. So I hope by now you already took the baking soda test, but if you didn't, we'll give you some time.
Yes,
so, so, so
absolutely.
talk to us
So
about
yeah,
some of the foods and where is the best place to buy the foods too, if that's okay.
so definitely when we talk about protein, make sure it's organic and grass-fed and a good quality and clean. The other ingredients, so anything that supports thyroid health, immune health, gut health will also support hair health. So B vitamins are essential. And yes, colorful fruits and vegetables are great. Eating whole foods rather than processed foods, but specifically things like zinc and iodine and selenium play a big role in your thyroid and your immune health and therefore your hair health. Now, there is controversy over taking too much iodine, and that's why I do like to measure it, because there are definite benefits to taking iodine for your thyroid, but you don't want to overdo it because a little can go a long way. So you don't want to over supplement either. And there are many good foods that have it as well. So chlorella and oysters have zinc, and seaweed
Oh,
has is and kelp is what has iodine, and selenium is in Brazil nuts, and many other foods as well, like egg yolks and things like that. So yes, eating those wholesome, colorful, and a variety of antioxidants is good, as with anything else, even for your hair and even for your hormones.
yeah, but none of that matters if you don't have sufficient stomach acid. So let's make sure we drive that point home.
Absolutely.
Okay, so just two more questions, and thank you so much for your how generous you've been with your time. I wanted to put this question out there for the person who might think, but is my hair loss reversible? Or I was told that I have no hope and I'm too far gone and I don't know if I should keep trying. So, do you think that there is a case where maybe somebody may have a more difficult time getting an improvement versus someone who clearly can see results much more aggressively? What would that difference look like? Or if not, then why do you feel that it's fair game and everyone has a shot of regrowing their hair as long as they partner with a vetted practitioner and with the right protocol?
Yes, that's a great question as well. So, what I have found that people who have, say, something like alopecia totalis, where there is really smooth scalp tissue without any healthy hair follicles at all. So, if there's thinning, that's okay as long as there are follicles, they can grow thicker and you can grow more hair. But if there is complete hair loss with no follicles visible, like it's almost like shiny bald skin, that may be a little difficult to rejuvenate and revive the hair follicles in that situation. And some women may have that, but in patches. So at least if they grow the hair around those areas, it'll be good. So only when there is smooth total loss, that's what I've been seeing. And also, not only in my experience, but on the reading and research, that those may be more difficult cases to treat. But otherwise, even if the hair scalp itself is, say, with infections like or dandruff or psoriasis or candida, there is hope for healing in those.
Amazing. Thank you so much. I'm sure that inspired somebody. And just to be clear on that, you mean that that person is completely bald or completely bald in one area and the skin actually looks glossed over and shiny and you don't see any little holes that
Hmm.
indicate that there's a possibility for growth. So that's the person that you're talking about.
Right, right,
Okay. And you're not saying it's impossible, you're just saying it's a lot more difficult.
exactly.
Right. Okay, great. And so here's the last question. So there are women that are listening to this and they feel defeated.
Hmm.
They're afraid to have hope. They're afraid to keep fighting for their dream that hair loss is reversible for them. And so, if you could speak to that lady right now and share with her a situation that you may have gone through where the odds were stacked against you, where it seemed like it was impossible, like there was no way you were going to make that happen, but somehow you defied the odds, you set a new standard, you made it happen. So, just if you could use that experience to be able to speak to that woman and give her hope, what would you have to say?
So absolutely, I was there where it's very dejecting and frustrating and defeating, really, if you don't see results, right? And yes, it isn't an overnight fix. So what I would say to you is that, first of all, you may have tried many things, but have you tried it all together? Have you gotten to the root causes? And if you haven't done that before, then yes, there's hope for you. You can do something about it, and really to empower you to take your health, including your hair health, in your hands.
Thank you. Yes, that's amazing. I know that there are people that are so tired of spending money. I know I spent like 75 grand trying to figure out how to and you get to this point where you feel there's nothing I haven't tried. I've tried everything. There's just no way. And I see it sometimes in the Facebook groups. But what you said was absolutely true. If you didn't go for the root cause and all you did was focus on, oh, this supplement has a lot of
Right.
rating and it's within my budget and it says a hair loss thing. Look at the pictures. The pictures look amazing. Maybe this will work for me. Oh, but she had this type of hair loss and that's the type of hair loss I had. So if she got the result, maybe I can have the result. So let me see what she did. That is
Hmm.
not bio individual enough. That is not a clinically sound or a clinically sound approach. That is really setting you up for failure. And it's not their fault. They have been indoctrinated to think for every ill, there's a pill. And so I just need
Right.
to find that one magic pill and everything is going to be okay. But in the world of functional medicine, with providers like Dr. Sultan here, they understand the importance of being able to look at how the body is supposed to work. Look at what she described with the protein and breaking down some amino acid, and how if that simple process doesn't happen, how that can compromise so many other things. And so I think that's something that people need to really walk away from within this conversation, that understanding that there is no way that you have tried every single thing at every single time and every single combination. It's just what about the things that weren't invented yet? It's not possible.
Right. Yeah. Yes, yes. And there are so many things you can do, like you said, but yes, it has to be the right thing for you. And the only way to do that is to get to your individual root cause. And that is what is going to be transformative with your hair journey as well.
Awesome. Dr. Farah Sultan, it's been a pleasure to have you on the summit today. Did you have a free gift that you wanted to talk about? And maybe you can share with listeners where they can find you if they wanted to learn more about you or inquire about your services?
Yes, so I'm on Instagram at Farah Sultan MD, or you can go to our website at vitalogywellness.com. And also, I will be sharing my protocol for you to share with your VIPs. And also, I'll be posting a link to the supplement that I mentioned in the Vital Bile to our online store.
Awesome. Okay, great. So thank you so much. And everyone who's listening, don't forget, we have a live event coming up on Sunday. Don't forget to upgrade to VIP so you don't miss out on that special protocol that she has that's bio individual to your stomach acid needs. And we're just honored to have you to be with us. And thank you so much.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much, and the wonderful work you're doing.
Awesome.